Now, do you know that Lagos State, with an estimated population of 22 million inhabitants, generates about 870,000 tons of plastic waste annually, which constitutes about 15% of the total waste generated in the state? While the clamor for recycling is still on, a young Nigerian has found ways to turn discarded bottle caps into art. News Central's Bettina Onweli reports.
Nigeria's biggest city, Lagos, is home to some 22 million people and produces a staggering amount of waste every day, a lot of which piles up on the busy streets or floats in open sewers. Currently, an estimated percentage of the megacity's waste is collected and taken to massive rubbish dumps, where scavengers pick through it for scrap to salvage and sell.
I believe Nigeria is one of the 9th countries globally responsible for ocean pollution with plastics. And Lagos is key because the population of Lagos and all the waste going straight to the lagoon into the ocean. And so Lagos should show the way, make a legislation against the production of single-use plastic. When they are no longer produced, people are simply not going to use them.
Olufunke Esekalu Ojukwu is a unique artist. Her love for turning discarded things into art is quite amazing, as her art encourages people to rethink about their relationship with waste and have conversations about sustainability. Basically, her artworks are made from the discarded plastic bottle covers, allowing her to contribute positively to recycling.
I came across bottle covers littered at a place, and then I was attracted to it because I saw the multiple colors, and it was like, wow, that's something. It would be a great thing if people can look beyond just throwing it away, discarding it. At least the least they can do is to pack them and take it to the recycle plant. I mean, I don't have a use for it, so you can do the right things with it.
And then there should be massive education through the media, more of the action by the NGOs. So far, a lot of campaign has been on recycling, on collecting, and helping people to stop using them. We should also campaign for people to use more durable materials. What stops the housewife or the house husband from having a cotton bag that they can take to the market, to the supermarket when they want to shop? So they don't need to you're buying a piece of banana and you demand for plastic bag. You're buying a loaf of bread that's already inside a plastic, you want another plastic bag. This has to change.
Rather than opting to dispose plastic in non-environment friendly ways, conservationists believe the focus should be on converting plastic waste into truly functional products. Known as plastic recycling, this process places less pressure on the need to acquire virgin plastic material to manufacture new products. Bettina Onweli, reporting for News Central.
Now, to better understand this and the culture of recycling, we're joined by famous environmentalist Dr. Desmond Majekodunmi. And one welcome to you, Dr. Majekodunmi, and thanks for joining us in Nigeria tonight.
Thank you.
Dr. Majekodunmi, Lagos State is set to generate 870,000 tons of plastic waste annually. That's a huge figure. And this means we're sitting on millions and billions just wasted. The million-dollar question to you, sir, is how do we turn this waste to wealth? And how much have we tapped into this opportunity?
Well, it's a double-edged sword. It's like a razor blade. It cuts both ways. And whilst indeed there are tremendous opportunities financially to convert portions of this waste into useful products, like was said by the lady who's doing some artwork, but also by Nemo Bakti, who is one of the forerunners of conservation and environmental protection in this country, to an extent, even in the world. So when he speaks, people should listen. So the reality is that, yes, there are opportunities from this waste, and not just the plastic, the organic waste, it can be converted to produce electricity. Yes, it can be very useful. But on the other side of the razor blade, it's also a very sharp edge. And if we don't start using this waste far more responsibly and stop producing the type of waste that can hardly be recycled, like the single use that was alluded to by Nemo Plastic, the consequences are going to be horrendous, horrendous. As we've already heard, Nigeria is about number 9 in terms of polluting the oceans with waste. And this massive pollution of the oceans with plastic waste is decimating life in the seas. It's destroying life at an unprecedented manner. What humanity is going through now, she's never been through it before. Unprecedented breaking down of incredibly intricate biosystems and wonderful structures in the ocean. Now they're finding plastic, because you see, plastic, it doesn't dissolve, it just goes into smaller and smaller tiny particles over a long period of time, what they call microplastics. And they found it now in everywhere, just about every kind of fish that you catch, you find it.
I mean, it's a cause for concern, and you did mention that it's a double-edged sword. The advantages and their disadvantages. Now, looking at that recycling culture as a country, what are the challenges of recycling in Nigeria? And why is it still in its infancy, to speak? Why is everyone not conscious about recycling when discarding their waste?
Yeah, very, very relevant question. It's because the awareness hasn't been done, and you know, sometimes I even wonder, maybe it's even a genetic disposition, what we call the moi leaf calabash philosophy. Because in days gone by, you know, the previous generations, with the waste that we were using, you know, using the leaves and the calabashes and gourds, they were completely biodegradable. So if you throw it away in the bush, it goes back into nature, it continues the natural cycle of nature. So maybe a little bit of that is still embedded in us, but we need to get away from a tremendous awareness and, you know, driving the factor that, okay, this can be profitable. Because if you gather the waste in the right way, separate it in the right way, you can actually make some good money. And there are, you know, a few people coming up now, the recycle people, there's quite a few of them coming up and encouraging people to separate your plastic. But it has to start with us. The orientation needs to be very, very strong. And, you know, for a worthy media organization like yours to be doing a program
advocacy,
on it, important. Yeah.
Now, Dr. Majekodunmi, countries like Tanzania, I mean, we oftentimes try to compare ourselves with countries in Europe and America, but let's do a comparison with fellow African contemporaries. Countries like Tanzania, Kenya, Mali, Cameroon, Uganda, Ethiopia, Malawi, Morocco, South Africa, and Botswana have banned, they have policies, strict policies on the use of single-use plastic. Some have banned them altogether. They're either completely banned or the government levies a heavy tax on them. Why is this, why is Nigeria not championing this cause?
Yeah, that's a very fundamental question. And you could allude to, you know, why is the giant of Africa almost comatose, lying on the ground? And so many other issues, no steady electricity, all kinds of other issues of insecurity and food shortages in one of the most abundantly good agricultural nations. Yeah, it's a good question. And it has to boil down to a great degree to the lack of understanding from the leadership of the job description, which is, if you are in government and a leader, you are a civil servant, okay? So you are a servant to the civilian population. That's what you're there for. But unfortunately, the whole system has become so distorted over the decades and decades when the democratic system broke down for whatever reasons, and we have not really been able to recover properly. But that needs to be put very, very clearly into the consciousness of the people who are coming in. That not only are they
Dr. Majekodunmi, you've been in the forefront of activism environmental activism for many years. You have your Lufasi Park, and I'm sure at different fora you've been able to present papers and recommendations to the government, the Ministry of Environment, and all of that. How responsive is the government in collaborating with the private sector in solving environmental issues and also reducing pollution in our environment?
In fairness, we've seen some pretty good responses coming out of Lagos. Not nearly enough, but quite good. You know, the Loma waste disposal system that was started here, it's been replicated by many other states. It's quite active, and it's done quite a lot, but there needs to be a lot more, you know. And the challenge is that the leadership haven't appreciated the gravity of the situation and the gravity of the position that they are in as well. You know, if you make a decision as a leader, that decision is going to affect sometimes millions of people. And you better be sure that it's a positive effect and not negative. Because by the laws of basic fundamental retribution, which every one of our religions prophesied, puts across. There's no doubt about that. You know, God is not more whatsoever you sow, you reap. It's there in the Holy Bible, the Holy Quran, the Bhagavad Gita, the Jewish scriptures. It's a fact of life. And they better appreciate that if they make decisions that's going to be very negatively impacting on people, like not doing correct drainage to carry the waters away and ensuring that good sanctions are put on people who throw waste into the streets and so on, because it's going to block the drain, and if the drain overflows, people drown and all this kind of thing. It comes back on you. So, you know, there needs to be a real orientation and a rethinking. It's a time when humanity now generally, not just Lagos or Nigeria, but humanity generally now has to have a change of attitude.
It's the responsibility of the human race, like you said, and humanity in general. We need to work in tandem with nature and not antagonize or destroy the earth. Thank you so much for joining us on Nigeria Tonight, Dr. Desmond Majekodunmi. Always a pleasure speaking with you.
My pleasure. Thank you.